So I'm recording this really as much as a reference for myself as anything else, and hopefully if the idea works, then it'll become something I can share, and if you're watching it now, that's the proof that it's worked, I guess. In that I'm going to be doing some glazing into this piece. This is an idea, it's not a commission piece I'm working on, it's just an idea I'm working on at the moment. And I've got a second piece of reference of similar tones, similar colours, not exactly the same, but it's something that I'm using as a thinking point. And I'm going to be glazing this piece down. So what you're seeing here now is actually the first pass. When I talk about pass, that's each individual step. What the oil painting process that I'm using, I'm going through stages. I'm not painting everything wet in wet as an outdoor artist, a non-plein air artist would do. I'm painting in layers using what's known as a traditional method, or the Flemish method, whatever you want to call it, where the benefit is that I'm building layers up, or I'm allowing those layers to dry in between. And I'm using a balance between a transparent paint or an opaque paint to start with to build my colours, my elements of colour, but I'm also then using transparent paint, which is glazing, to then tint and to adjust the colours and change that. And what you're seeing here is the initial stage on a white canvas. There's no ground on here. Normally if I was painting to sort of the Dutch method of landscapes, you know, big sort of creamy clouds and skies, I'd be painting on a yellow ground, on a coloured ground. The canvas would be toned first and allowed to dry, then I would paint over the top of that. Here I'm painting onto a white canvas, and I'm using that because I'm painting very, very thinly. And this is one element of working in oils which a lot of people don't experience or not aware of. Everybody thinks of using oil paint in a much thicker form in impasto. Everyone thinks of the Impressionists and obviously Vincent's work. But oil painting can also be applied very thinly, and it can be built up in layers. And this is very much the way we see Turner's work, and that soft, very, very thin smokiness to it. And that's what I'm trying to discover and work on and practice my skills in. So this is the first pass that's helped me to build the core structure, the main elements, and obviously selecting the colours and where the colours are going, and obviously the composition is being formed from that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to glaze in areas. Now glazing is using a medium, a transparent medium, and mixing that with a very small volume of pigment, and specifically choosing a pigment which is a transparent pigment, because some paints are opaque and some are transparent and some are half and half. So I'm needing to pick a pigment that I can thin down, and I'm going to be painting over the top, or glazing over the top, so that I can still see the structure of the painting underneath, but I'm both tinting the colour, but I'm also doing is I'm reducing the light. I'm pushing it back darker, because one of the crucial things with oil painting and of this particular style and method is to make sure that you are working dark to start with. With oil painting, we paint from dark to light. So the first stages of the painting needs to be quite dark, and then we successively lighten the painting by using lighter and lighter paint as we get closer to the top. But we can also reverse that process as well, and we can then darken down those lights by using more glazes. Anyway, enough of the long technical and long-winded explanation. As I said, I'm just really recording this as an idea, and if you're watching it, hopefully the idea will have worked, and you'll see. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use pretty much glaze across the whole piece, because I want to unify the piece with a glaze, and I'm selecting 1, 2, 3, 4 colours that I'm going to glaze with. I'm going to be glazing with the blues across the top, the reds in here, which will then flow into yellows, and then finally I'm going to throw in a wild card for me, certainly, is I'm going to glaze a green in under here. And now I'm recording this and saying it, I'm committing to it, so we're going to see how that green comes out. And that should provide me the correct stages in terms of the change of light. From blue into yellow brings green, and with the yellow and the red there will be some oranges in here as well, and that will move into warming the colours of the blues at the top, because I want the blues at the top to be slightly warmer in this corner and slightly cooler, greyer in this corner. Anyway, that's my explanation. That's what I'm going to achieve. Hopefully, that's what I'm aiming to achieve, I should say. And positive thinking, and we'll see where it goes. So hopefully, as you can see now, as I've worked through the piece, what I've done is I've followed a natural flow, and I've started with the darks at the top and the blues, and I've used my blue glazes first. And it's not just a blue, there's a brown in there as well. There's an umber in there to cool the blue off. If I was just to use ultramarine, it would be far too hot. It's a very vibrant piece as it is. It's going to dull down a little bit. So I've worked with the blues first, and I brought those down through into the reds, because the red and the blue will give me a purple of sorts. And that is a correct colour link between the two colours, so I've linked the colours there. And as I've continued to bring the reds down, I've strengthened those, remembering that with glazing I can strengthen the colour by determining how much pigment to medium I use, and I can also control that by how thickly I apply the glaze. But generally it's controlled by the dilution of the pigment to the medium, and I'm using liquid in this instance. I'm just using liquid original. As I progress through the glazing layers, I will use a little bit, I have used a little bit of just natural raw linseed oil in there as well, to bring the colour and the vibrancy and not the shine, but liquid can go a bit flat and it can matte a little bit, and I want to bring some shine into it, some gloss, not so much gloss but some depth. So I've worked my way through into the reds, into the oranges, down into a certain element of brown, and then I've worked my yellows, and I put this very strong element in here as well, which I'm liking at the moment. I've not worked over the key area of light, which I will do. That'll be put in with the scumble with paint, and I've continued to follow that flow through, taking my colour references from a yellow into an orange into a darker red as I obviously get further away from the source of light, being the sun. And I've also warmed the horizon line a little bit more. And I wanted to show you that before I do the final bit, which is going to be the green across the bottom, because I'm still not really sure whether it's going to work or not, but I'm going to try it. So I wanted to just record this as it stands now, and hopefully the next shot will be what it will look like with the green in, and we'll all see whether it's actually worked or not. But hopefully that's a good explanation of how to approach glazing over a large piece. And yes, I am using a large brush. I'm not going to be glazing every single pixel and hair on the fibre of the canvas. Let's see what happens. So there we have it. Yes, I'm happy with it. You can obviously see, hopefully you can see, that the green's very subtle, it's very light. You know, I'm trying to obviously tie all the colours together, but I wanted to avoid the temptation of doing what I would normally do, which is to darken it down with the reds or browns, and just to tint it. So actually we're going a full colour spectrum piece here, although it's a tonal piece without, at the moment, any hard or sharp, strong colour elements. It contains the full colour spectrum, primary colours, and obviously a blend through those. And that's the key thing to remember with glazing, is that when we're choosing those different colours, make sure that we're choosing colours that work together, and make sure that we bridge those areas. So as I said before, we're going from the blue into the red through a violet or a purple, we're going from the red into the yellow through an orange, and we're going from the blue to the green with a yellow. And obviously the yellow going over the top of the blue creates a green, and that helps to provide a colour reference between top and bottom as well. So bearing in mind, remembering that the clouds will often reflect the light, the colour from the land as well. So there's a relationship between land and sky. So that's as far as I'm going to go at the moment. I'm going to leave that now to let that dry. I'm liking where it's going at the moment, and as we progress through it, we're getting to the next stage. And this is the thing with painting in this method. It's just one method of painting in oil. It takes time, but you have the opportunity to let the picture unfold, and you can plan each step as you progress. And then as you get to the final elements at the end, that's where the light starts to come through and the whole thing starts to come together as a singular piece. hopefully you'll find it interesting, and look forward to showing you the next stages. Thanks.